mentioned earlier about a manufacturer that, they simply couldn't get a handle on their inventory and their material requirements. So during the discover step, as I mentioned, we realized that they were focusing on managing their inventory and saying, we really got to manage our inventory, but they really had no process for forecasting their demand. And so once we helped them identify the opportunity to automate their forecasting, it really became a fairly easy process of applying just standard MRP principles and to their purchasing process. And they were actually able to consolidate their inventory to close an entire warehouse and save some significant money for the organization. So although their initial ask was to help them get a handle on their inventory, really the solution was getting a handle on their forecasting. So the vision that they came up with was to lower their inventory by 50%. And we greatly exceeded that objective. I think if I remember right, it was close to 75%. So they took a big bite out of that. But the solution was discovered during that initial discover step that we talked about. And in the enable step, we sent their subject matter expert and their business process owner to APEX training. I don't know if you're familiar with the American Production and Inventory Control Society, and they do, have over the years done really great training in these areas. And so they understood basic MRP principles after getting that training, and it really helped them implement the solution. And it's kind of a funny story on that one. The subject matter expert, he was actually worked in the accounting department and was in charge of inventory, and he was really a numbers guy. And once he got into that training, he just really got into the MRP process. He really grabbed hold of that concept, and he built spreadsheets to test out the concepts with real numbers. And he actually manually ran MRP using spreadsheets. I've never seen anybody be able to do that, but he actually ran their MRP using spreadsheets and proved to the business owners that they could lower their inventory by 50%. Because, frankly, they weren't convinced that they could forecast, first of all, and they weren't convinced that that was the proper solution, et cetera. And so he did this and he proved it to them. And really their ROI on that implementation for an MRP system was enough to pay for it in less than a year. I mean, they had the return on that in less than a year.